Hey, you, and welcome to the podcast. So, this is the second part to the last episode I did, which was essentially kind of talking to you about how to get unstuck on your weight loss journey. So, this would be part two of that. At the conclusion of the last episode, if memory serves me, I was talking about the voice of the imitator, right? Father versus father. So, you need to go back and listen to that. And this is where the enemy wants you to believe the wrong voice because it sounds reasonable and like you can give it logic and justify it. So in this episode, I'm going to talk to you about how this happened in my real life this past weekend as I was reflecting on it, and how I got unstuck in other areas of my life. And these are things that I learned on my weight loss journey and how to apply Father to my life. And I explained that and unpacked that a little bit more in the first episode. So if you missed that, go back and listen to part one of this. And I'm also in this episode going to tell you how to actually do this, because I don't want you to walk away without having like real value, like really something you can not. It's sometimes you can't see it in the example of what I did, but so I want to unpack how I did it. So I want to take you back to this past weekend. Father, the imitator, the wrong voice, the voice of what I like to call complacency and comfort. Like that's exactly what it creates in my life. It almost won in a different area of my life. So there's a kind of, how do I say this? There's a version of myself I want to be. There's a kind of mother that I want to be. There's the kind of wife that I want to become. But sometimes, and you're probably going to find yourself relating to this, I get stuck in these like cycles of conformity and comfort. And so this past Sunday morning, I woke up and I was getting ready for church. Actually, I was in the middle of my Bible study when this hit me. And I realized I'm not being the woman that I say I want to be. Right? I knew the forecast was for a beautiful sunny day. My goodness, I hope you can hear me because that wind just picked up. So I knew the forecast was going to be amazing. And my default Sunday morning Sherry Capella routine was in the forefront of my mind. And I immediately saw it as the pattern that I was conforming to. Because my default pattern would have been to just go to church, right? Go to church, after church, go to the grocery store, fill up the car with gas, come home, unload everything, clean the house, and then be too tired to do anything meaningful with our family. And then later I would find myself like being frustrated and irritated with myself. I'd be sad that we didn't do anything yet again. And if I would have obeyed that familiar pattern, I would have had the same results over and over. So I just decided I'm going to do something different. I'm going to show up as the version of myself that I want to be. And so I sent a group text to everybody. I made an Alexa announcement and said, hey, after church today, who wants to go to Geneva on the Lake and have lunch at Eddie's Grill? And immediately everybody started responding, right? And so I told them on the way to church, I said, okay, we're going to go after church. We're immediately going to go to the grocery store. Everybody make a mental list of what you want to get. And then we're going to run in. We're going to pick it up. We're going to come home. Everybody's going to help unload the groceries. And then we're going to go right to Geneva on the Lake. We're going to spend time together. We're going to hang out. We're going to enjoy the day. And then afterwards, as a family, we're all going to come home and just do a power hour of cleaning. 1 hour. All the teamwork in the house. And here's what I noticed. Like immediately my flesh was like, no, cannot do, must do things under the way you always do them. Like my flesh wasn't happy. And the familiar part of me that likes doing things the way I like doing things was starting to have a voice. It was like I could feel the voice of resistance rising up. And so I just leaned into it. I paid attention to it. And I just started praying in the Spirit, Lord, release me from this spirit of control. I wasn't given a spirit of control. I was given a spirit of self-control. And there is such a big difference, right? Control tries to like manage every single outcome, but self-control walks in the Spirit while doing the next right thing. And that's what I practiced on Sunday. I had to show up with a level of concerted intentionality, overriding my flesh. Because if I want to become that wife, if I want to become that mom, I have to intentionally decide to be her. Because becoming the woman that you're meant to be, it's not going to happen on accident. You don't just accidentally, like, you don't just drift into your transformation. You don't accidentally just show up and decide. You don't accidentally just become disciplined. That's what I'm trying to say. You don't accidentally become spiritually matured. You don't accidentally become the woman who follows the voice of God, your Father's voice. You become her through intentionality by deciding what voice you're going to give power to and agreeing with it. You become that woman through obedience. You become her through repeatedly making decisions to stop bowing to the counterfeit voice, right? The voice that I talked about in the last episode, in the right father category, that right-hand side column. You become her through repeatedly deciding to stop bowing to the counterfeit voice. And what I want you to know is that you're going to have to be obedient if you want this transformation. And the thing about obedience is there's nothing attractive about it, but it's going to cost you something. And I just want to continue this theme of me just having coffee across the table with you. I want you to know this about obedience. It's going to cost you your comfort. It's going to cost you living in the familiar. It's going to cost you things being easy. It's going to cost you immediate gratification, and it's going to cost you perpetually needing to feel motivated or to think that you have to want to do hard things. It's going to cost you the way that you have always eaten, or that you like to eat, or the way that you have used alcohol in the past. It's going to cost you staying up late. It's going to cost you fitting in with the world, being the old version of yourself. But I want you to think about the cost of not changing. I feel like I don't talk about that enough. I'm going to actually ask this as a question. What is the cost if 6 months from now you are still saying that you're going to start on Monday? I want you to think about that. What is the cost if your children keep watching you surrender to the authority of fear that you're giving into? What is the cost? Think about that. What is the cost if the conversations that you need to have with yourself never actually happen? For me, what is the cost if the book never gets written? What is the cost if the healing never comes because you keep choosing comfort over obedience? What is the cost if your whole life becomes one long pattern of almost, right? Almost started, almost obeyed, almost changed, almost became, almost trusted God. I almost stepped into the abundant life Jesus died for me to have. Right? Let this be your awakening, right? I'm not over here on my cell phone with the wind blowing probably in your ear, condemning you. I'm waking you up, I hope. I don't want you to almost become, almost change, almost trust God, almost step into that abundant life. This is your awakening, because the enemy doesn't need to destroy your whole life in one day. He just needs to keep convincing you that later is still an option. You can do it later. You can become her later. There's going to be an easier season. And one day later becomes years. And this is why you have to wake up. This is why, and I'm saying this to myself too, why I have to keep making plans and doing hard things and getting my stuff ready for my accountant. It's why we have to wake up. It's why we have to stop treating procrastination just like some kind of personality quirk. This is why we have to stop laughing about avoidance like it's completely harmless. Because you have to like call avoidance what it really is. It's like you agreeing with fear. And sometimes, and I can kind of see this in my life and with my clients, like what we call procrastination is obedience to the wrong voice. Sometimes what we call being overwhelmed is really what happens when we keep staring at the effort instead of looking at the Father. And so I don't want you to just listen to this episode and think like, oh, that was a good episode. That's not good. That's not going to change you, right? Like you just having this information isn't going to cause your transformation to happen. Information alone doesn't cause transformation. So right now I encourage you, grab a piece of paper, like hit pause, grab a piece of paper and write down the center of it. I want you to draw a line down the middle of the paper. On the left-hand side, I want you to write the Father's voice, the Father's, F-A-T-H-E-R, the Father's voice. And on the right-hand side, I want you to write the Father's voice, F-O-T-H-E-R-S. And I gave you those definitions in the first episode. And now I want you to think about one place in your life where you're stuck. Not 10 of them, just one. And I want you to think about, what are you avoiding? What are you procrastinating? Where are you waiting for later? Where are you saying I can't Where are you saying I can't do that right now? Maybe it's your weight, maybe it's your meals, maybe it's your sleep, maybe it's your marriage or your finances, your home or your career. Maybe it's your prayer life. Maybe it's the thing God told you to do and you keep making it complicated because, I don't know, complication, like you making it complicated lets you delay the obedience. Can you see that? Whatever it is, I want you to write that down. Now on the Father side, F-O-T-H-E-R, write what the voice has been saying to you in that area where you're stuck. And I want you to be honest. And maybe it's a voice saying to you, you're too busy, you're too tired. You always fail. You don't have enough support. You don't know where to start. You can't do this with the kids around and their food and people at work having whatever, going out to whatever it is. You can't do it in the summer. You can't lose weight at your age. You can't change because you've tried before. You deserve to be comfortable. You deserve to eat the foods that you like. You'll deal with it later. I want you to look at that right-hand column, the imposter side, the imitator side, the F-O-T-H-E-R side. I want you to look at it, like really just look at it. That's exactly what I did. If you're in the Seeker's Method or you're watching this on YouTube, you see that paper on the screen. Because once you see the voice, you can discern the source, can't you? Does that voice sound like your Father? Does it sound like the one? Does it sound like God? Does it sound like the one who gave you his Spirit? Does it sound like the one who strengthens you? Does it sound like truth? Or does it sound like the imitator? And now I want you to go to the Father's voice column. I hope you can hear me because the wind is like on me. And I want you to ask, God, is this even true? And maybe the truth is what God wants you to hear today and write in that column. So now you're in the left column, the Father column. I want you to answer this. God, what is true? And he's probably going to say to you, I'll help you. You're not alone. You can do the next right thing. You're becoming. You can walk by faith even when you don't feel ready or like you can do it or like there isn't any temptation you can't overcome. You don't need to control everything. You can do hard things with me. Your body is not your master. Your flesh does not get to lead. Your past failures is not your future success, right? Is not your identity. Today's the day to obey. Now, ask the next question. If the Father's voice is true, what is the next right behavior? Can you believe what his voice says to you? And if you believe it, what should you do to behave? What's the next right thing? Is it planning your meals? Is it going to bed earlier? Is it like me opening up the tax folder? Is it just writing for 20 minutes or taking a walk? Is it texting somebody for accountability? Is it, I don't know, cleaning the kitchen? Is it deleting the things that keep tempting you and distracting you on your phone? Is it saying no to what you know you need to say hard to? Or what you know you need to say no to? Is it saying yes to what feels really hard? Is it joining the place where you can finally stop doing this alone? Because this is where belief becomes behavior. And behavior, like I teach in the Seeker's Method, becomes your becoming. You don't become the version of yourself that lost the weight by wishing. You become her by agreeing with truth and then practicing obedience. And that's why I teach what I teach and the way I teach it. Because so many women are trying to fix spiritual patterns with physical plans. Can you see that in your own life? And then they wonder why it doesn't last. They think they need more discipline, but what they really need is like a renewed belief system. That's why I show you the kingdom mindset versus the worldly mindset in the Seeker's Method. Like, so many women think they need another diet, but what they really need is discipleship. They think they need more motivation because the world has taught them that in the self-help industry. But what they really need is to stop giving lordship to Father. And that's why I created the Seeker's Method. Because a podcast can give you more information, but the Seeker's Method helps you to practice transformation. It helps you to see what you can't do on your own. It helps you to identify what you've been conforming to. It helps you to recognize the patterns that have kept you stuck, and it helps you to renew your mind through the Word of God instead of just constantly exercising and dieting from the world system. Because the world will tell you to just count the calories and the macros harder, to restrict more, to burn more, to deny your flesh more, right? To weigh more, to track more, to feel shame more, to strive more. But the Father is inviting you into something different. He's not the voice of condemnation. He's inviting you into sonship, into daughterhood, into surrender, into truth, into a life where your body becomes submitted to the Spirit instead of your spirit constantly being dragged around by your body. And I need you to hear this straight. Like I'm saying this in love and with authority, right? If you keep trying to lose weight without addressing what you believe, you will keep circling the same mountain. You will keep being defeated in your wilderness instead of understanding that that's exactly where you defeat the enemy. You'll keep going around the mountain. You might lose the weight temporarily. You might feel motivated and excited for a few weeks. You might notice that you just keep starting out strong and then you fizzle out. But if the same voice still has lordship, eventually it's going to lead you back to the same behaviors. And what I want you to see is that those behaviors are the fruit of what you're believing. And if you want different fruit, you need a different root. The Seeker's Method is about the root. It's about asking, what am I believing? What am I agreeing with? What am I conforming to? What voice is leading me? What does the Father say? What does obedience look like right now in this moment? Who am I becoming? That's the work. And it's going to require a lot of effort. I don't want you to think that doing weight loss with the Lord is easier. No, it's where easy dies off of you. It's going to require a lot of hard work, a lot of hard effort, right? To bring it into the opposite of what Father convinces you of. But here's the thing about hard effort. It's not the enemy. Fear of the hard effort required is not the enemy. Hard effort with the Father is the very thing that produces your endurance. Hard effort when you are under the voice of Father produces dread. But when you are following the voice of your Father, That hard effort produces your maturity. When you're under the voice of Father, the imitator, that hard effort produces like within you this perpetuation of avoidance. But when you're listening to God, that hard effort in you, you start to see that it's producing your becoming. But when you're under the wrong authority, under the wrong voice of Father, it's producing shame. And so the issue isn't about this being hard. It's about, who are you listening to? Who are you walking with? And so, I don't know, I'm going to wrap this up. I feel like this has already been too long. I'm just going to ask you again, whose voice has lordship? Because the Father's voice and the Father's voice will lead you into two completely different lives. Father is going to keep you waiting, but the Father will call you to walking. Oh, that's powerful. Somebody needs to write that down, right? Father, F-O-T-H-E-R. Father will keep you explaining why you can't, whereas the Father is going to teach you how you can with him. The imposter Father will keep you weak through what you're agreeing with, whereas the Father will strengthen you through obedience. Father will it's going to keep you stuck in infirmity, conformity, right? Like I talked about in the first episode. Whereas the Father will renew your mind and teach you how to overcome. And the woman you are becoming can't keep letting the counterfeit narrate her life. She can't keep waiting for perfect conditions. She can't keep calling delay wisdom or calling comfort, peace or avoidance of the hard things rest, right? That version of you can't keep calling fear discernment. At some point, that future woman that you are becoming, the woman who lost the weight, the version of yourself who lost the weight, she has to say, that is not my Father's voice. I will not follow it. That is the line in the sand. That is where change begins. Not when your life gets easier, or when your schedule suddenly frees up, or when motivation is constantly there, or when you feel perpetually motivated, or, you know what I mean? It's not when Monday comes. It's right now, because now is where obedience lives. So this is your invitation. If this episode, if these two episodes have exposed something in you, I don't want you to just leave being inspired. I want you to respond. If you recognize the counterfeit voice, don't just write it down and move on with your life. I want you to get spiritually bossy and reject it. It's time for you to get off Struggle Island. If you realize that this weight loss journey of yours has not just been physical, it's not just physical for you, but you now can see that it's spiritual and emotional and deeply connected to what you're thinking, what you're believing, then stop trying to do this through just all this free information alone, right? Get into the seeker's method. Be intentional. Invest in who you're becoming. Spend time learning how to recognize the Father's voice, how to renew your mind with his truth, how to practice obedience in your actual life, how to become the woman that you already are in Christ. Because in TSM, you're going to see that this isn't just another diet. This is discipleship through the everyday decisions that you've been making on autopilot. This is where we stop conforming to weakness. This is where we stop empowering the wrong voice. It's where how you learn to believe differently, how to behave differently, how to become who you are meant to become. And if the thought in your mind right now is, I just can't right now, I want you to pause and look at that. Because maybe that is exactly the voice this episode came to completely expose. Maybe the question isn't, can I? Maybe it's, who told me I can't? Maybe today's the day that you stop letting Father lead you. Maybe today's the day that you come back under the voice of your Father. Because I believe he's saying, follow me. He's not saying do it alone. He's saying, I'll help you. He's not saying, oh, just try it again. No, he's saying believe. And as you believe, you will behave. And as you behave, you will become. That is the invitation. That is the method. That is the work. And that is the freedom waiting on the other side of obedience, even in weight loss.